Want to start right with that storm, which impacted so many people across the country over the Christmas holiday, and at least 46 people have died nationally due to the severe winter storm that has impacted millions this past weekend. Hundreds of thousands are still without power, and thousands of flights have been delayed during one of the busiest travel times of the year. The storm has impacted Erie County, New York, particularly hard, where at least 12 people have died. New York State officials report the area was hit with roughly 4 feet of snow this weekend. At times, the storm's hurricane-force winds caused whiteout conditions that effectively paralyzed emergency response efforts and also caused the city's airport to completely shut down. The New York Times is reporting that nearly 3 days after the blizzard began, people remained stuck in cars on highways and side streets. And overnight on Saturday, more than 50 rescues were made by a specialized team, many of those rescues including saving other stranded emergency workers. New York Governor Kathy Hochul confirmed Sunday evening she is working with the Biden administration to get federal assistance and commented on the history-making nature of the storm. Take a listen.
We've talked about the scale of this storm. Those people of my age talk often about the blizzard of 77. That was always the reference. Well, it's not as bad as the blizzard of 7. Today I'm here to say that is now in the history books. We have surpassed the scale of that storm in its intensity, the longevity, the ferocity of the winds. So we now have what will be talked about not just today, but for generations, the blizzard of 22.
Meanwhile, 4 people are dead and many more are injured after a 46-car pileup on the Ohio Turnpike on Friday, as the extreme winter weather blasted through that state. Authorities say the crash was a result of whiteout conditions that left dozens of vehicles, including at least 15 commercial trucks, piled up on the interstate. Photos show crumpled 18-wheelers and cars backed up for miles. Joining us now in New York State is NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch. Jesse, thanks for joining us this morning. Give us the latest in terms of where the storm stands now and the latest on how many people have been impacted.
Yeah, and Jonathan, you look at those images from Ohio. Obviously, those are scenes that we are seeing across multiple states in recent days. And this is why, at this point, officials in Buffalo, New York, still want people to stay off the roads. This is someone trying to dig out of their home. You can see this is what it looks like on the streets there. And I can tell you, having been in Buffalo in November for a different snowstorm, you do not want to be on the roads. And they are talking about something on a much larger, widespread scale in western New York right now. Nearly 4 feet of snow accumulating there. The governor talking about wind gusts nearly hitting 80 miles per hour. And unfortunately, the death toll keeps climbing. We are looking at almost 50 people dead. Those deaths all blamed on the weather across multiple states over the past week. And obviously, this is supposed to have been a joyful holiday weekend. This is not the kind of white Christmas that people would be looking at. The number of power outages, thankfully, has been dropping. And you talked about delays, plenty of cancellations, too. And the problem is, even as the weather improves, because so many planes have been stuck in places they were not supposed to be, it's possible it could be days before the airlines have their crews and planes fully back on track. Back to you.
The power outage is so important to be rectified as temperatures remain so bitterly cold throughout the area. NBC's Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And that brutal weather continued to disrupt airline operations over the holiday weekend. By mid-afternoon yesterday, airlines across the country canceled more than 1,800 flights. That is a major improvement, though, compared to Christmas Eve, when carriers canceled close to 3,500 flights. Southwest Airlines was one of the hardest hit, canceling about 15% of its schedule yesterday. And now let's take a look at the weather and meteorologist Angie Lastman for the forecast. Angie, is it warming up? Are things going to get better out there?
Yeah, things are going to get better. We're going to see some improvements temperature-wise, but I want to bring attention to what Buffalo is still dealing with. We still have those strong northwesterly winds. The system has moved up into parts of Canada, but that means that they're continuing to be downwind of the lake, and the lake effect snow band remains persistent. They could see another 12 inches of snow by the time we finish the day. Now, the the good news is they will see some improvements as far as those snow bands, but still we're going to have to monitor that. There were blowing winds that left 16-foot snow drifts in many locations, so difficult situations there, and they saw blizzard conditions for more than 35 consecutive hours. So just to put that in perspective for you, the good news for them and many other places across the country is we are going to see some improvements as far as our temperatures, but we're monitoring this next system, a Clipper system that's come down from Canada. It's going to bring some snow flurries to parts of the Tennessee Valley, places in the Midwest. Not expected to disrupt travel anymore. Of course, we'll see the disruptions continue from that last storm, but this next one, not expected to do a whole lot. We have another secondary low pressure system that will move down and bring some snow to parts of Michigan as well. But we also still have those freeze watches and warnings in effect along the Gulf Coast and extending into the Sunshine State. Temperatures at this hour into the 20s, into the teens in Montgomery. In Orlando right now at 39 degrees. The improvement comes as we go into the next couple of days, though. Still on the eastern side of the country, well below normal. 34 degrees for Cincinnati, but check out Amarillo, 64. And by the time we get into the later parts of the work week, even tomorrow, we're seeing major improvements. And then that warmer air starts to filter in, and we're talking above normal temperatures stretching from Pittsburgh to Chicago, and parts of Little Rock will eventually see temperatures in the 60s, guys.